The Steroid Dilemma. Today I'm going over steroids, what they are, more specifically testosterone, because I think it's needed. I have a lot of friends that are either on it or want to get on it. They don't know how to go about the process. And give you a whole rundown of it. So we're going to call this basically my testosterone manifesto. There is a big dilemma. As men, particularly nowadays, we are bombarded with toxins. Now, most toxins that are coming into our body come in the form of estrogens, and which is a problem because there's over 300 different types of estrogen, not just the female sex hormone, right? Which we have as well. But I believe if you look at the stats, the average 20-year-old today has lower testosterone than the average 60-year-old 30 years ago. That's a problem. They're emasculating the male population. Now, I believe that's intentional. We'll see if I go over that today or not. And part of the dilemma is guys don't know how to get started. They don't know what it is. There's lack of clarity. There's a lot of myths. A lot of doctors don't even have any idea about this stuff. Most doctors, when it comes to TRT and steroids, have as much use in that area as they do with nutrition. Nutrition, they only have to take 1 and sometimes 0 courses. So to take advice on these topics for most doctors would be foolish. So what is it? What are steroids? Now you have catabolic and anabolic steroids. Most people are quick to just assume anabolic steroids because the media, not as much anymore, but you went through the late 90s, 2000s, things like Balco and all these steroid problems, so they say. Professional sports with like McGuire and Bonds, who's my favorite player ever, never got caught. So anabolic steroids build you up. Any anabolic process builds you up. Catabolic breaks you down. Catabolic steroids, such as prednisone and cortisone, are far more harmful than anabolic steroids, especially in the scope that I'm going to talk to you about with these. Now, your testosterone levels, men, depending on what lab you use, should be between 200, and they keep lowering the top number, but 200 and 1100, let's say. And you might get your total testosterone checked. They might say, oh, you're 400. You're good. You're normal. Yeah, you're normal, but you're not optimal. It's always been my belief since I started using testosterone in 2010 that you want to get to upper limit normal. Right? You want to be at the upper range. You're going to feel better. That's a key thing. One of my clients put it this way. He said he can now see life in high def. You have more androgen and testosterone receptors on your brain than anywhere else in your body. That's the main benefit you're going to feel. A lot of guys believe that if they go on testosterone, which is a steroid, guys. TRT is anabolic steroids. It's so funny how people try to, oh, I'm not on steroids. That's what it's considered. Steroids are not a bad thing. Big fan of them. But a lot of guys think they're going to go on 150 or 200 milligrams a week of testosterone, which would be a very good, like 200 would be a nice dose, therapeutic dose. And to put that in perspective, a lot of the pro bodybuilders are using 5,000 to 10,000 milligrams a week of different anabolics. So a lot of guys think they're going to go on testosterone and get all this muscle and shred all this fat, guys. It's going to have a minimal impact on your physique directly. It does increase protein synthesis, which allows you to put on muscle a little bit easier, little bit. But that's only if your training is correct. Most people don't train correctly to put on muscle. So you go on a therapeutic dose, which in most cases will get you up to a decently high normal range. Not always. Some people are not good responders to these. We'll talk about side effects and all that in a minute. But a big fear that guys have, and I was just talking to a friend this weekend about it, is, man, I heard once you go on, you can't get off, you're dependent on it. And this is one of the biggest lies out there, but I want to address a few topics in this area. There's a feedback loop. So if you're putting in exogenous testosterone from an outside source, your endogenous inside source, inside production, is going to lower because it's a feedback loop. Oh, it's coming in. Let's shrink the testes. That's why some guys get testicular shrinkage when they start using testosterone or anabolic steroids. Your body's getting a signal that, hey, we don't need to produce, we're getting it, and they atrophy. Now, this idea as well that you have to be on forever, there's a couple aspects to that. No, that is not true at all. If you were going to come off, which I don't know why you would, I'll address the one scenario where I would say that it's appropriate. You would run post-cycle therapy, which I'll talk about more in depth, probably over on my website. And it reboots your system. It gets the system going again, the feedback loop, so your body turns back on. Now, why would you come off? Maybe if you wanted to have more children, because it does act as a male birth control because of what I told you to down regulate a production of your own testosterone, therefore you can get azoospermia where your sperm count lowers. But I figured out a way around that I'll tell you about in a second. But if you're not having any more children, or you're older now, why would you come off? Like, how does that make sense? There's far more negative health implications to having low testosterone than high normal testosterone. This idea of cycling on and off came from the bodybuilding world. And that's what I'm telling you. A lot of the medical community is very in the dark about this stuff. And bodybuilders typically will know a lot more about this stuff than your primary doctor. A lot of doctors are scared to prescribe it because they don't know. They don't know. They have all these misconceptions about bad side effects. Now, I'll tell you this too as we go into that, the side effects. 95% of professional athletes are using some type of performance-enhancing drug, some type of anabolic. 95%, guys. Don't be fooled. And I'm all for it because you want to see the best in the world be the best they can. It's entertainment. 95%, and this has been going on a long time. I've got another video I'll link here, a testosterone seminar that I do where I kind of go over the history. But if that many are using, where are all the dead bodies? Right? This is supposed to kill you. It is the safest drug I've ever come across. If you do the research, you'll see that to be true. But going back to why would you come off? So before we had our third child, Emma, we had a miscarriage in between each child. We have 4 children. And at the time, I'd opened my second gym. And Devin, my wife, said, you know what, go back on the test. Because she knows there's a big difference if I'm on testosterone or off. Energy-wise, need your energy. And I said, all right, let me go on a real low dose, like 80 milligrams a week, and run the post-cycle therapy, which reboots the system at the same time. And voila, she got pregnant. So when we had our last child, Ainsley, I did the same thing. Lowered the dose super low, but I was still on it. We still feel good. Ran post-cycle therapy, got pregnant. So you don't even necessarily have to come off. But that's a little more advanced. Most doctors are not going to be very well versed in that area. I started using testosterone in 2010. I competed 5 times as a natural bodybuilder from 04 to through 2008. And I was very strict with being natural, meaning no testosterone, no anabolics. And then when I decided to stop competing, I said, all right, time to get my levels checked. And that might have been like 400. And I started using 200 milligrams a week, which I said is a good therapeutic dose. First time when I was still cycling it, following faulty advice, I came off cold turkey. That was a big mistake, because as your testosterone goes up, guess what? Your estrogen is going to match. There's always a ratio. If you just pull the carpet out from underneath the testosterone usage, and that plummets before you start producing your own, and estrogen stays high, let's just say you're going to be a little more emotional than usual. Okay? Now, I find personally that 250 milligrams a week is a sweet spot. I'm a good responder to it, meaning I don't get the negative side effects that a lot of guys might get, like acne. Some guys will get gyno because of the estrogen that's coming out. If they have fatty tissue in their breast, gyno is like man boobs. But at that dose, you shouldn't see it. And again, some guys just don't respond well to it. They don't have a lot of androgen receptors in their body. What can I tell you? We're not all dealt the same card. If you're prone to male pattern balding, it could accelerate that potentially. Now, since that time, I've researched it a lot. I've got a lot of guys I counsel to go on TRT, because I'm a big proponent of it. And you're not going to raise your testosterone levels naturally to a large degree. I've seen it happen a few times, especially people that are following my fasting protocols, but that's only like a handful of guys, less than 5. So you could try all you want. You could take all these supplements. Supplements aren't going to do it, guys. They're not going to raise it up that high. So my recommendation is get tested, see where you're at, and then try it out. If you don't like it, which I can't imagine you wouldn't, then you could hop off. But I'd say give it a fair shake. Go 10 weeks. If you get 200 milligrams a week from your doc, 2,000 milligram bottle, that's 10 weeks. And this stuff, because your insurance probably will not cover it, because it's going to show that you're in the normal range, then that's okay. So tell your doctor, I'm willing to pay for it. It might cost you $100 or less for a 10-week supply. So that's huge. Now, there's all different types of testosterone, variations. You get more exotic. Now, there's something called equipoise, which I've used. I've always been open about my testosterone usage. And that is great for healing tendons and ligaments. Increases the collagen synthesis by up to 300%. So when I ruptured my first patellar tendon, once I found that out, I use that in my rehab. A lot of pro athletes use it to recover. But I have a lot of history with it. I feel very comfortable and safe. My blood work is always on point. But I could tell you now, using testosterone, I was at 16 years in a very moderate dose, with periodic times where I'll throw in something like EQ for healing, that it did not change my physique one bit. In fact, if you look at pictures, even from a couple of years ago, what really transformed my physique was my panda diet, and doing that year in, year out, day in, day out, month in, month out, because what goes on hormonally within the body. And I would tell you, when I was competing as a natural bodybuilder, I was as big as I was now, maybe even bigger. And you'll be able to find photos of that. And maybe we'll throw them in the video for you. And I bring that up because I put a post up the other day, and I'm in the best shape of my life right now. A lot of guys, you know, I was doing it to say, look, when you're in your mid-40s, you could be in your prime. You should be in your prime. Coming into your prime. It should all be your prime. A lot of guys think, I'm in my 40s. I should have a dad bod and fat rolls hanging over my waistline. I don't accept that. And I kind of put my routine, and all these guys Well, a handful of guys. You didn't put testosterone usage. Well, I talk about it openly. And my physique's got nothing to do with that. Again, look at photos, right? You either put the work in to put the muscle on or you don't. And a lot of people think you could just take testosterone to transform your body. It's the lazy man's way of thinking. It's the easy to point a finger excuse of why they aren't in shape. Because they're jamming their face full of food all the time and they're not training hard enough. Again, guys, muscle comes down to your training. Training is a stress. You have to apply a proper stress to your body in order to grow muscle. Now, I have not trained to put muscle on intentionally since I stopped competing. Now, I did compete in 2014, but I wasn't natural, so I didn't do a natural show. I was using testosterone. When I did the strongman this year, I put muscle on. Again, I wasn't training for that necessarily. It was just because of the nature of the lifts that I was doing. But I've built a foundation over the years with my muscle that when I get lean, guess what? You're going to see a lot of muscle because I have a lot of muscle compared to the average man. And I'll tell you this too. There's no easy way to get lean. Now, I'll say what I do as far as the fasting is the easiest and simplest way and much more enjoyable way. But these guys that see a photo of me at low single-digit body fats that want to say it's from testosterone are stupid. They're trolls. So don't think you're going to take it and, like I said, it's going to help you get lean. That's going to come down to your eating patterns. I've got a lot of videos on that. And people also have to distinguish. I heard the late, great Louis Simmons, who was one of my fitness mentors. I talked to Louis 6 times before he passed. He's in one of my books. That your morals aren't my morals aren't your morals. You don't judge me, and I won't judge you. Let's leave it at that. But I always find it funny with the trolls. So just wanted to talk about that for a second. Like you ain't gonna get in tip-top shape from using testosterone. It's not how it works. And go ahead and try. I might actually put a challenge out there for guys that say that okay, here's some testosterone. I'm going to give you 6 months to get in the type of shape that I'm in because it's from the testosterone, right? And if you do it, I might have a little bounty, like a reward, like $5,000, because I know nobody's going to get in that type of shape. If they put up a picture of how they look currently, which is usually like a soft, pudgy, little bit of muscle, probably 20-25% body fat, it just won't happen because they're faulty in their thinking. Now going back, go get your blood work from your doctor, see where you're at, see if he'll write you a script, and then you begin. You want to look for injectable types. Don't do a cream, don't do a patch. Now you could do some of the peptides. I don't have that much experience in the testosterone peptides, the ones that are supposed to enhance them, actually zero experience. And I always tell guys, though, if you're going to go down that road with peptides, your foundation in this area, in this arena, should be testosterone first. Have that as your base. Just get on basic testosterone. Cypionate or Renante. Your doctor will be able to write you the script. The urologist is usually a good place to go. I send a lot of guys to a local urologist. And then you begin. Now, I'll throw on as a little bonus, growth hormone. I've been using that for a few years now, low dose, 2 IUs a day, which again is a tenth of what a bodybuilder would use. Now why? Well, you get a big boost with the growth hormone from the fasting that I do. But growth hormone is a fountain of youth. And I'm always looking for any advantage I can get. So I have that within my stack of testosterone. Got testosterone in that. And I feel great. My blood work is great, as I said. So you have to determine what's right for you, but please don't make the assumption that when you start doing this, it's just going to transform you. You got to put the work in. There's no easy way. When I got as lean as I did this summer, I did 8 or 9 weeks of 96-hour fast plus OMAD. So that's 4 meals a week. Think about that. For a majority of the summer. While I'm training, and I only train with the weights twice a week. You know, I walk every day, do some type of activity. But that is how I got as lean as I did. Because I'm using the same stuff all the time, guys. But I can manipulate my body through my fasting. But I suggest you look at it, you get on, you got to make the right decision for you. I understand there's a lack of clarity around the topic, a lot of misconceptions. And I'll put the link to one of my seminars here on it. And I can promise you, if you go down that road, you're not going to regret it. I don't think I've had anybody that I've counseled to begin, start and be like, oh, I feel worse. Go, feel better. Give it 3 or 4 weeks. It'll start taking effect in your brain. Not as stimulant, but you're just going to say, man, I feel better. This feels good. And that's where it's at. Now, if you feel good, you're probably going to make better decisions in the rest of your life, which is huge. But if you're walking around at 300, 400, 500 level on your total testosterone, so I'm not going to confuse everybody and talk about free testosterone, which is actually more important, you're not optimal. I'm all about, how do I be optimal? How do I be the top level I can be? And I'm a guinea pig. Always have been. Test stuff on myself. A lot of influencers and stuff out there will tell you not to go on testosterone. Blah, blah, blah. Well, usually the ones that say that have never used testosterone. Just like when people try to bash me with the fasting, it's people that have never actually tried fasting. So how could you speak intelligently about a topic that you don't have direct experience with? Yeah, and I get it. I used to, like I said, be a natural bodybuilder, and it was like, I'm natural. They're not. They must be bad. Nothing to do with it, guys. All right, hopefully that gives you a nice primer on testosterone, some of the ins and outs, which you can notice and see how to go about the process. If you have any questions, I'll put a little link down here where you can get in touch, and or you can post them in the questions area, comments area. Like the video, don't forget to subscribe. I'll keep telling you guys the truth. I'm an unconventional thinker. I have figured out, as much as anybody has figured out, how to get in tip-top shape, especially as you're aging into your 40s and beyond. Helped a lot of men get to the best shape of their life. So that's what it is, guys. Appreciate the support. Let me know if you get on the T.